What's up everyone? So we're here to check out my account on the Chinese server, and I'm gonna share a little on how I've been handling this account. I probably wouldn't call this a guide because there are multiple ways to build up your account, and because it's not my main, there are certainly some things that I do here that I probably would not do on my main account. First things first, I would like to mention that this account has very low activity. As you can see here, well, this was taken like a week before this video, but the login days is 89 and the login hours is 156. So that averages out to about 1.75 hours a day. But you know, when I'm recording stuff, sometimes I leave the game on. So I would say it's more like 1.5 hours to maybe just 1 hour per day, where I'm like just totally active on this account. That's I think okay for a sub account. If you are like super active in the game, you might push it up to maybe 2 to 3 hours, especially if you're trying stuff on the Memorial Arena. But as a sub account, I think that's fine. I do sometimes fail to meet like the requirements for the daily mission, so I don't always get like the 40 crystals per day, but I'm working on it. Also, if you missed it out from the video's title, this account is F2P, and I'm going to show you my crystal top-up history, or rewards, I'm not sure which one it is, but anyway, it is still at 0, because, well, I do have a way of topping this up, but it's really troublesome. You have to buy, like, I don't know, iTunes cards from China, otherwise you might have to go to a site to get someone to top it up for you, and you're going to have to pay an extra. So personally, I don't think that's something I want to do. I don't really mind spending a few bucks on like a sub account or like, you know, a sub game that I'm playing, but, you know, having to pay extra for the crystal value, I'm not keen on that. So yeah, that's pretty much why this account is gonna stay F2P all the way. Well, anyway, when the account was new, I did of course put aside some time to clear the story, because like all mobile games, your account levels up very quickly in its early stages. So I made sure to use up the stamina from leveling, pretty basic stuff, because you want to be recovering stamina during an activity. Now, since new accounts have lower stamina capacity, the first things to aim for were to get the dorms and upgrade the dorm energy capacity, and then the vending machine. This helps store excess stamina while you're away, and of course to claim it, you'll need enough energy, and that's why we upgrade capacity first. Next thing to passively keep a lookout for is your base. I'm a little behind on my upgrades, but I upgraded the power core and command center while deciding on my main Valkyrie. Then the mech cabin after getting the Hirsha of Reason. Most new players might overlook these upgrades, but it is really going to be worth your time to get them until at least level 12, and maybe higher depending on whether or not you have the Valkyries needed to unlock the skills when you get the buildings to certain levels. So this is really going to help a lot because first of all, the stats are upgraded by percentage, and second of all the battlesuits linked to the Valkyrie that, you know, you upgrade the building for are going to get CP boosts, and this is going to help you meet the requirements when you need to send Valkyries on expeditions and farm for fragments. Moving on to the next point, where to spend crystals. There are two ways to go about doing this. Due to the RNG, it's almost impossible to say which is the better option. A fellow player went with the option of farming key Valkyries and throwing all crystals into focus supplies. This makes a lot of sense because Valkyries like Flame Sakitama, Umbra Rose, and Night Squire are incredibly strong and easily accessible. And while there are F2P 5-star weapons, along with the Divine Keys, some gacha weapons easily overpower them. I, on the other hand, went with focusing on obtaining a strong battlesuit to carry me through the story stages, abyss stages, and at least one boss in the Memorial Arena. So what happened was that I actually created this account, got it to like level 15 or something like that, and then totally forgot about it. So when I came back, the Hirsha of the Void's banner was up, and it was right before version 3.3. So I decided to try for the Hirsha of the Void, and if I couldn't get her, I could at least push the guarantee counter down and almost certainly get the Hirsha of Reason. Now, I did that because I knew that there were a lot of story stages where I could still obtain crystals from, and typically we get quite a bit of crystals during events too. In addition, we were able to play the new story chapter, which also was a whole untapped pool of crystals. And thankfully, I got it on the 67th pool, so that saves me about 10,000 crystals, despite being prepared to spend 28,000 crystals, of course, all obtained by farming. But I did manage to get the Harsha of Reason earlier than the S-rank guarantee, and had the luxury of pulling from the Focus Supply. On my very first Focus Supply pull, I obtained Blood Dance. Yeah, how about that? Then throughout the period of the Harsha of Reason's expansion supply, I'd pull and attempt to obtain the Key of Reason every time I managed to obtain 2,800 crystals. Sadly, I only managed to obtain Belt M. Anyway, I did not spend any of my crystals until version 3.4. I had close to about 10,000 crystals, and I pulled on a Jingshantan banner and managed to get Gustav Klimt M and Jingshantan T and B. I swear, this account has like 50 times better luck than my main account. But anyway, when your crystals are extremely limited, you'd want to get them some added value. So in games where I'm F2P, I always wait for spending events like this one, so you don't just get a chance at getting something good, you can look at what the event gets you, and even if your pulls are bad, you have a guaranteed reward that you might actually want. And not spending elsewhere helps you stay prepared for events like that. Okay, so we're done with the basics, let's see how I'm doing in the Memorial Arena. Oh yeah, before that, I want to mention, since I started playing on the Chinese server, I have been farming for AE Imaginons from every source possible. And since I managed to get Auto B and Monet M, I put them and Jingwei T on Valkyrie Pledge, and used 600 AE Imaginons to obtain weapons from the Forge to salvage into Honkai Crystals, exchange them into Resonance, and bought Judah from the exchange shop. In general, I'd say Judah is a great option if you are gearing up for the Memorial Arena, because even if you don't have the Stigmata that I got, you could still use stuff like Darwin, which also provides good lightning damage. And, you know, in addition, Valkyrie Pledge is not extremely hard to obtain and get to Triple S. And why I brought that up was because I get requests to do F2P Memorial Arena runs, but it's really hard to define F2P. For example, this account is F2P, yet it has the Harsha of Reason. So does that mean the Harsha of Reason is F2P? Also, I have Michelangelo T with Zoro M and B. It could make for a really strong Night Squire maybe, with like the Grips of Taishiren, or the other free one, Stellar Vortex, I think? Yeah, so anyway, it's really hard to define F2P because everyone will be in a different situation. Whether or not you buy crystals, you will still have an amount of crystals, and these free crystals could really get you anything. I mean, I only spent like 5,600 crystals, which is 20 pulls, on the Jingshantan banner, and I got Gustav Klimt M and Jingshantan T and B. So the situation of F2P players varies from player to player. That's the same case for whales as well. Like, if you were a whale, but you spent all your resources on maybe a Triple S really strong Valkyrie like the Harsha of Reason or Harsha of the Void, or maybe even both, and you got them fully equipped, but you never bothered to build up a team, you never bothered to get the good support units like, I don't know, I want to say Celestial Hymn, but that's for physical, but you get what I mean, right? Oh yeah, the Harsha of Void is physical anyway. So you never bothered to get the Celestial Hymn, you never bothered to get any support equipment at all, stuff like Mjolnir, stuff like the 11th Sacred Relic, stuff like Gustav Klimt. You're not going to be able to get really good scores. I'm not saying that a Triple S Harsha of the Void, fully equipped, or a Triple S Harsha of Reason is not strong. But by themselves, without any support, your team is... I mean, it's not even a team. You're not going to get anywhere far, and that's why you need to build up a team, and an S rank with a proper team would beat out a Triple S without a proper team. Okay, now that we've got that settled, for now, this account is at level 69, and I will probably delay the leveling until next week, so that means I stay in this tier for that much longer, and hopefully that gives me time to prepare for Masters. But, you know, without further ado, let's look at the runs for this account. So the first team I brought, because the two bosses are Jizo Mitama and Benares, So I brought Miko as the main DPS because I have a pretty strong set. It's not really a set, but it's Michelangelo T with Zoro M and B for physical damage. Now, Michelangelo T does not work with Miko's ultimate, but most of the time I'll be using her Sakura Mark, which is activated by her evasion skill, or, by doing certain number of hits with the third combo sequence, and I think the fifth combo sequence or something like that. And that's where Sakura Blossom helps if you have it, because it helps you with the Sakura Wave from the weapon. But if you don't, you're most likely going to be using something like the third Sacred Relic, because we can farm for it. But in this case, I'm using a Tawar that's only at level 35, and what it does is actually help me, charge SP faster. So for the support, I went with Picasso T on Yamabuki armor. She also has Augier B on her, and Umbro Rose just has Picasso T and M. And I was supposed to do like the standard, 2 Picasso sets so that we can apply the yellow paint debuff. But I'm not sure what the problem is. Maybe it's like Jizo is too high up, so the hitbox is a little hard to hit. But I'm pretty sure that I'm actually hitting it, so I don't know. Maybe the paint applies differently. On this point, I'm not too sure how it's actually supposed to work. But yeah, I'm not able to get the standard one hit from Yamabuki and then follow up with the other support that has TNM to just apply the yellow paint easily. As you can see, I'm not really successfully getting the yellow paint applied. And then in this phase for Jizo, well, there are a lot of things to talk about with Jizo, but for this phase, it's really not ideal to want to have to deal with him on this phase, because even if you break these 3 relics, he is just gonna refresh them really quickly, and it's really annoying. And then he might go into the other mode where he's drilling around the battlefield. So that's also really time consuming, and it's extremely hard to deal with. So ideally, if you have to deal with the shield stage, the one where we need a lot of hits to break that shield, you would want to make use of that period of time when Jizo is actually taking more damage than usual, to kind of skip the 3 relic phase and try to get to this phase where he summons his Shadow Clone, so that you don't have to deal with all that, because another thing is that the targeting and the camera would probably not work in your favor. So if you're a new player, you haven't dealt a lot with Jizo Mitama, you would want to take note of that. So I think this gave me a really, really bad score. Yeah, 29,248. It is a 20% additional score, so as you can tell, the actual score is something like 24,373, and that is just way too low for any tier in the Memorial Arena, so I decided to try with a different setup, and this time I brought Void Drifter back, but as my main DPS. So this is really convenient because both Void Drifter and Umbro Rose have their QTEs triggered by Impair, and I just like to mention Umbro Rose isn't really a support, but since she had her QTE triggered so easily, that would buy me a bit of time on the Memorial Arena, and that's why I brought her in, and I lack support units anyway, so she was a pretty decent choice. So over here, before it's activating its shield, if you have the ability to bypass this phase, then you want to activate a Time Fracture before the shield comes up so that you can deal enough damage to bring down the blue HP bar, and then you can skip the phase and you can save the time that you will take to actually take down that shield. If you don't have the ability, however, you'll have to activate your Time Fracture after, so that he just kind of stays there for you to break the shield down, and you wouldn't have to chase him around and waste more time. So over here, I went for one more rotation before he did the super devastating attack, and I did not finish the combo sequence because my Valkyries, my support Valkyries were actually still on cooldown for their switch-ins. So, it was a really risky thing to do. If I had finished the combo and got Void Drifter stunned there, the timing might not have been right and she could have gotten killed by that attack. So I stopped the combo and kind of ran out of the area. But, thankfully I did do that rotation during that attack, and I managed to skip the 3 artifacts phase and secure a much better score. So without the 20% bonus, this run did about 4,000 more points than what Miko was able to do, and the weapon used is Bloodstains at level 35, and the Stigmata is the same. But, it still wasn't great. It was like 28,000 without the 20% score, and so I went to unlock Twilight Paladin because I had been buying her fragments throughout the event. So it's really your choice, but I did mention earlier that because this is not my main account, there's stuff that I do differently. This is one of them. Normally, I would have gone for Lightning Empress and tried to get her unlocked as quickly as possible, because the fragments that I'm buying from the War Treasury are Phoenixes. So with Phoenix, Valkyrie Pledge, and Lightning Empress, you got yourself a really strong team, and also Lightning Empress's starting SP could help with a lot of different strategies, especially if you need Blood Dance. But, I just felt that I didn't really have a strong physical damage dealer. I mean, granted, Void Drifter isn't bad, but I just felt that, since I was already buying, I stopped buying Phoenix Fragments just to buy Violet Executors because I felt that I could get her pretty quickly, given that the weekly limit was set at 12 instead of 6. And so, with the help of the Lunarians, I got her fairly quickly. And I brought her back in to go up against Jizo with a fully upgraded Ranger's Cross as her weapon. And I went in with a level 57 2-star augment Twilight Paladin, and the assumption would be that she wouldn't do all that well because without being at 4 stars, you lack 2 core abilities. Also, not to mention some of your abilities are not upgraded, but the 2 core abilities that you'd be lacking would be Fated Judgment, which would get you up to 80% critical damage by attacking the same enemy repeatedly, and Waxing Luna, which would get your Fervor to its max and reset the consumption rate after using your ultimate skill. So without these 2 core abilities, I had to kind of work around it, but it wasn't as hard as I expected. So as you can see, after building up Fervor and switching out and switching back in to use her Fervent State, I was able to get 1.5 bars off Jizo, which was really great. And unfortunately, I missed the timing to use Bronya's Guard to activate a Time Fracture before the shield was activated, and as a result, Jizo did that dash, which I had to deal with. But then I managed to use the Tornado to activate it and break the shield, switch Umbro Rose in. I'm not too sure if the Picasso debuff stuck, but anyway, I used, Twilight Paladin's ultimate skill, used the charge attack, and managed to skip the phases that are hard to deal with, and secured a score of 35,392, which before bonus I think is 29,493 or something like that. So that was a significant boost, and managed to get myself into the 1%. But yeah, I haven't shared you guys the Benares score yet, so let's go on to Benares. So I'll show you guys my equipment for this team in a while. But generally, I use the Star of Eden instead of the Ranger's Cannon because Ranger's Cannon I upgraded for higher attack power, but the rate of fire was just so slow, and I decided to use a cannon weapon and went ahead to get the Star of Eden since it's free anyway. And so initially I had planned to use the Herald of Reason. I did a round previously where I used the Herald of Reason to try to force Benares into its ice form, and then used Judah to kind of try to push its HP all the way down, but the Herald of Reason just did extremely high damage, and so I decided to switch the roles and use Valkyrie Pledge to push its HP down initially, and also turn it to its lightning state, and then switch to the Herald of Reason to actually just burst it down, and that was incredible. 30,400 points easily, and I might be able to push it by shuffling my equipment around, but we'll see about that. So this was the team used against Benares, and as you can see, I had Rasputin T and B on the Herald of Reason, with the Star of Eden and Velt M, and for the Valkyrie Pledge, I had the Oath of Judah, Jingwei T, Monet M, and Autopocalypse B. So I didn't actually switch Valkyrie Triumph in because I really couldn't find a time to do so. She did have Blood Dance, but I didn't have enough initial SP, and so I just left her out there, but she was a good backup. And since there were only 2 bosses, locking her in here was actually inconsequential. But so the way I could actually get a better score is to actually get one more Jingwei T, because Rasputin's 2 set ability is actually useless, and I wasn't actually planning to get like both Rasputin sets, but what I do is that I actually have 2 screens for my PC, and so sometimes when I'm playing, I'm actually like watching videos like on YouTube on the other screen, and I thought I was at the B page, because Rasputin B is all you'll need, and Jingwei T would give you a lot more damage than, you know, Rasputin T. So that was the problem. I thought I was on the B page, I was actually on the T page, and I bought Rasputin T by accident. But, you know, it is what it is, and it's not all that bad, not as much damage, I could have done better, but I think I did okay. Because, you know, 1% in a server like that, I think I did pretty well. Let me just show you guys what we're up against, okay? There are players with accounts that are, you know, have better stuff than my Southeast Asian server account, which is my main, and people think I spend a lot on the game. Look at this, there are accounts with totally triple S max equipped Valkyries, and these are not like your A rank Valkyries that have reached triple S. They are S base Valkyries that are at triple S, and they are Valkyries that I don't even have on the Southeast Asian server. And if you are going to leave your account, you know, like under level 70 just to get like good rankings, I'm gonna assume that that's not your main account, so the spending would have been like this account and more. But I don't know why people would do that, but okay, you know, fund the game so that we get to play with better content. That I don't disagree with that at all. I mean, if they have the money, that's your choice. But that's my point. You know, a 3-month-old account that I only spend an hour and a half, maybe less per day on it, is able to get into the 1% with a bracket like that. I believe that once I go up to Masters, I wouldn't do too badly. Of course, there is going to be a point in time where I will have to build back up. But eventually, I'm expecting to stay in like the 2% range. So for those who like were requesting for F2P Memorial Arena runs, I think this is the best I can do, because this is the definition of F2P. Nothing has been spent on this account. And it's even low activity, no excessive farming, maybe at the start of the account, but now it's just like, you know, I'm just going in and clearing stuff and then logging out. So, if you really want like examples of how F2P players can clear the Memorial Arena and possibly get better scores, then yeah, I'll do these weekly so that you guys can like have a look at how to grow your account. But in general, I would say that Honkai Impact at this point in time is really F2P friendly, is a lot more friendly, it's a lot friendlier than the last time I had to deal with F2P stuff, which is like when the Southeast Asian server just started. That was really hard. It was really hard to obtain stuff. Now it's a lot easier. I easily got, we're not gonna talk about the Hiyashiro reason, although, you know, I would argue that it was due to planning that I got her, but you know, Twilight Paladin was pretty easy. It was just saving crystals and waiting for the right moment and then going all in. And I could at least get her to 4 stars with an S rank base, get the costume, and also get the key abilities, and that will help me out a lot when I'm in Masters. And I am looking forward to it. So if you guys enjoyed this video, I know it's a longer than usual video, but I really wanted to cover all the stuff, you know, that F2P players would go through. And from this perspective, it doesn't seem all that bad. Just save your crystals and wait for the right moment to be spending them. And if you're a new player, you're unsure of what to go for, you can always ask in the comment section down below. You can also join our Discord, and there will be players willing to help you out. And I just want to point out one really important thing when people are asking questions is that they have to actually let others know what situation they're looking at before they ask the question that they want to. Like, some people would just go, oh, now I can go for Night Moonbeam, or I can go for Lightning Empress. Which should I go for? Nobody would know the right answer because they don't know what your account has. If your account is already geared towards like a psychic team and has better elemental damage, or, you know, like I mentioned, has Blood Dance and you need to do Blood Dance strategies, then of course people would think that Lightning Empress would be better. But if you have a team geared towards like creature, or, you know, they call it bio now. Like, if you had a better bio team and it's built more physically, then you go for Night Moonbeam. That's like common sense, I guess. But of course, like, if you don't have anything to start with, maybe Lightning Empress would be better, but like I said, people don't know your situation, so when you're asking questions, always give more information so that people know what you're working with and they can give you a better answer. So thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked it, I would probably do one weekly, but of course it will be shorter than this one because this is kind of like an introduction to it. It's kind of covering most of the basic stuff. And if I do one weekly, it might just cover events maybe, or if I do some gacha, I'll compress it into that one video. And I will do the Momo Arena runs and sometimes maybe Abyss runs to give people an idea of what an F2P account can do. And yeah, so for now that will be all. Thank you guys for watching. This has been MG, and I will see you guys soon.